What are the emerging business and economic trends for 2021? And how in the world can we predict a trend in business or the economy given what's going on with this economic coronavirus situation? Join me this time from Los Angeles as one of the nation's leading experts on this very such topic, I should say. He's the author he's the author of Stop Hustling Gigs and Start Building a Business. He's a hedge fund manager and venture capitalist. Let me welcome back Joel Block. Joel, there's a bit of a mouthful.
Great, man. Nice to see you.
Nice to see you. Is it too difficult to predict the trends that will be emerging in business and the economy for the upcoming year, 2021?
You know, let me tell you something that when we fell into this trap here, some months ago, the economy was strong.
Yeah.
It was good. The world was clocking along pretty good. And, ironically, surprisingly, somewhat even shockingly, we have done pretty well in spite of the fact that this whole thing around us has been really rough. There are people who've certainly suffered, and this has really been just awful for many families, and it's been awful for everyone. There isn't a person in the country or on the planet who hasn't been negatively affected by this, some much worse than others. But I will tell you, Rick, that a year or two or three from now, we are going to be so much better off as a nation and as a society as a result of this pandemic than we can ever imagine.
Okay, that's exciting information to hear, but why and how so? And does it depend who wins in November?
Well, it's hard to say if it's going to work in November. I mean, the Democrats are slinging every rock they have in their arsenal. They're doing everything they can, and that's not really what this discussion is about. I'm not a political pundit, as you know. I'm really, listen, I run a hedge fund, venture capital. I invest in things. I'm a professional investor. I follow the money. That's it. So let's talk about, what's going to happen in this country. There are many, many institutions that are just broken. They're just broken. I think our political system is rather broken. But let's put that one on the back burner. The way we police is broken. The way we incarcerate is broken. The way that we educate children is broken. A lot of these systems, are 200, 300, 400 years old. Some are even older. And the way we do things is the way that they did it 300 or 400 years ago.
Yeah.
And we just kind of follow the pattern along, and there just isn't a way to kind of change it because there's so much momentum holding us back. Let's take, for example, children, the way we educate children. There's a lot of teachers that maybe they know that there's a better way to educate children, but you know what? Their paycheck depends on the way we do it now.
That's right.
So they will not say, let's do it now. But, the pandemic comes along and everything changes. And so one of the trends, and we wrote a substantial white paper on this. We wrote it in the third quarter of 2019, but it has stood the test of time even during the pandemic. And one of the things that we talked about in that trend report is you have to reimagine everything. Everything in your world has to be reimagined. Now, I will tell you, I am thrilled at the way that many of the entrepreneurs have responded in our country, the restaurateurs, going from inside to outside, the way businesses have responded with apps that make dining simpler. They've done a brilliant job. I'm so proud of every single one of them. And every one of us has to do that in every part of our life. Nothing can be left on the table. Nothing is out of bounds. And we need to, and listen, the media business, Rick, the media business is broken.
Yeah.
So we need to look at everything.
Yeah. And, it's interesting. You're talking about the school environment. I, as you may or may not know, I have a son in 6th grade, and it never occurred to me about how archaic our current school environment is until he started.
It's archaic's the right word, man. It's really archaic. And listen, I'm not a liberal. You and I, but I'll tell you something. It's not fair that there are children that don't have the tools to be successful.
Oh, yeah. Right.
And it's not good for our society for children not to have the tools so that they can grow up and be successful doing whatever it is that they're going to do, whether they're workers or executives or whatever they're going to do. If they don't have the tools now, A lot of the racial issues that we have are all about now. And one of the things that we keep doing wrong is we look at the short term instead of the long term. And that's another one of those trends, is that we have competitors, the Asians in particular, that take a very long view of how things work. So we look at things quarter by quarter because that's the stock.
Yeah, right.
But we have competitors that are looking at things and they're doing strategic planning 50, 75, 100 years out.
Right.
How can we compete against people who are doing that if we don't do something similar? And if we have children that don't have internet, they don't have computers, they don't have modern technology tools to be successful, then we are in a situation where we're going to perpetuate all these kinds of problems, and we're not going to have the best workforce that the United States of America can have.
That makes sense. I agree 1,000% with you on that, Joel. Now, so you said that basically you said we're going to see a better economy, a better society, a better nation. I forget the exact words. Better business climate 2 to 3 years from now. So, are you suggesting that we're going to learn from what the weakness is, and entrepreneurs are going to step forward in a capitalist society and make improvement?
Here's what I'm saying, to be very, very clear. And this is not a prediction about the rate of the stock market or real estate prices. That's not what this is. Our society is going to be better off because things that are broken, this situation it's so enormous that it's going to enable us to fix things that are really, really broken. It just, for the first time, we're going to have the opportunity to take a look at things. I mean, let's look at cars, real estate, buildings downtown. You know, we have a lot of hard infrastructure that's wired in permanently, like buildings. But you know, the truth is, in the 21st century economy, maybe buildings, and listen, I'm in the real estate, maybe buildings aren't really what people need anymore.
I've been thinking, the last couple of months, why are people driving downtown to...
Well, imagine, let's say you're the CEO of one of those giant companies in New York City, and you walk out onto the street and you look up at your building, 50 stories tall, and you're beating your chest about how proud you are. And then you start thinking, man, I must really be an idiot. I must be an idiot to be housing 50 floors on the most expensive real estate in the world. What am I doing here? Why don't we just keep, 3 or 4 floors of our most significant executives and high-level salespeople that need to make sales calls in New York City, and everybody else, let's move them to New Jersey. And so let's say that happens, which it probably will. New York City is going to end up with a subway system that nobody uses. It's going to end up with buildings that people don't use. It's going to end up with hot dog vendors that don't sell hot dogs. I mean, there's a lot of chaos that's on the horizon. And I'm not saying that to be scary. Right. I'm saying that because the world needs to change, and this pandemic is the spark that's making it possible for that explosion to take place.
Joel, we're out of time. It's a great message. Guess what? You're the only person I've heard give this message.
Are you kidding me?
I am not kidding you whatsoever. You're the only person that's come on this show, the only person, I have not seen anyone, I'm not going to name the networks, but I haven't seen anyone on the national business TV networks saying what you're saying. They maybe have said it, but I watch those networks closely during the day in the background, and I have not heard it said, and I think it makes a lot of sense.
Well, I'll tell you what, take it to the bank, because this is how professional investors make their bets, is they look into the future. We're not political pundits. Yeah. We actually make real bets with real money, and you can take this one to the bank.
All right, Joel Block, again, hedge fund manager and venture capitalist of Bullseye Capital, author of the book, Stop Hustling Gigs and Start Building a Business. Great information. It's also a positive, energized information, which is always nice to hear. We thank you for joining us. Broadcasting from the Liberatory CPA Studios, back after this.
Politics and Profits with Rick Amato is brought to you by Liberatory Accounting, the IRS problem solvers. To find out how Liberatory Accounting can help you, call 877-6-SOLVER. That's 877-6-SOLVER.